This video is going to talk you through how to set up your notifications in Microsoft Teams so that you do get notified about the things you want to be notified about, but you aren't drowned in notifications for all the things that you don't want to be notified about. So let me just talk you through the different types of notifications first. You can be emailed every time somebody posts something to Teams. We're going to turn that off because the whole point of this is that we're transitioning from email to Teams, so we don't need those email notifications. You can get a little banner notification. That's a little pop-up down by the clock down here. And what that does is a tiny little rectangle pops up and it's just got a snippet of the message in it, and then it pops back down again. Then we've also got an activity feed, which is a thing you can click on in a minute in Teams. I'll show you. And that is a list of all of the posts. Personally, I find that that can be a little bit overwhelming because there's so many messages can appear in that feed. And then finally, you can just scan your eye down the channel list, and the ones that have got new messages you haven't read yet are in bold. Okay, so how do we customize which notifications we get? That's the most important thing. So remember, Teams is built around public conversations. So you need to make sure that you tell Teams which conversations you want to be involved in and which ones that you're just going to browse for yourself when you've got a bit of time to do so. Personally, I feel that Teams haven't quite got this right yet, and that they have spent a lot of time making it highly, highly customizable, which means that there are a myriad options and maybe too many options, and it's just a little bit too difficult to customize. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So first of all, there's two different places that you need to set your customizations in. The first is that you've got some general settings, which are in with all your other team settings as well. And they're kind of top level default general settings. And then you've got some channel by channel settings, which are much more detailed. So let's deal with the general ones first. So what I would suggest you do is that you click on your little avatar up in the top right corner, select settings from the menu, and then notifications like on the screen here. First thing I would do is turn off your missed activity emails, because you don't want emails being sent to you about Teams. If you're going to be using Teams, well, not using Teams in class, but once you've logged into Teams, it's always running in the background whenever you log in anywhere. So when you're in the classroom, if it's pinging at you every time you get a message, that can be a little bit annoying. So I also turn off the sounds personally. If you're going to be sharing your screen with the class, which you shouldn't be because we're using Windows P to have a second monitor, but if you are duplicating your monitor, you should probably turn the message previews off as well, so that any students in the class don't see any snippets of the message coming up. But if you're using Windows P, that shouldn't be necessary. Then a little bit lower down the settings menu are Teams and channels. And what I would suggest here is that you click on customized and you pick and choose, because what we've got here are some general things. So as we'll see in a minute, people can always get your attention by mentioning you. That means they put the symbol and then they type your name, or they can get the attention of the entire team by the symbol and then the word team, or the name of the team. So you could write @team, or for me, you could write @science. That will always come through, but you can choose to turn off the banner notifications if you want to, so that it just comes through on your activity feed. Personally, I don't use the activity feed very much, so I like to have it as a banner. I think it's probably a good idea to keep getting notified about any conversations that you're already in, so ones that you started or ones that you contributed to, but you can turn those off if you want. Personally, I don't think that's a very good idea, but you can if you want to. But what you probably should turn up is likes and reactions. You don't need to be getting 15 notifications an hour just because people put the thumbs up sign to say that they'd read your message. I don't use these two settings very much because I tend to customize every channel individually in a way that I'll show you in a second. But if you don't customize your channel settings, these are the default values for the channels that you leave on show. You can hide channels that you're not interested in, and then they disappear away from your list of channels and you don't need to worry about them. These are the settings, the default settings for the visible channels. Like I said, I tend not to use them so much because I set specific channel settings on each channel. Okay, a little bit further down the settings menu, you can work out what notifications you get for chat messages. So these aren't the public messages, these are more the one-to-one ones. And again, I would turn off the likes and reactions if I were you, because otherwise you're just going to have an activity feed that just fills up with lots of thumbs up. You can also be notified about when you are supposed to be in a meeting. So when the meeting has started and and you're supposed to be joining it, you can get a notification pop up to just say you that the meeting started. If you don't join the meeting straight away and people are typing on the chat, then you're just going to get message after message after message from the chat console then. So I tend to mute the chat until I've joined the meeting. Okay, so that's it for the settings that are in the settings menu, the kind of top level generic ones. Now what you really want to do is the nitty gritty and customize each channel in turn. So you will be in a team that has multiple channels in it, but not all of those channels will be familiar to you. So for instance, you might be in the science team, but you might not be teaching year 7 this year, and therefore the year 7 curriculum channel might not be particularly relevant to you, in which case you would want to turn off the notifications for that. So all you would do there is click the 3 dots at the end of the channel and then click the off button. And that will mean that you don't get any notifications at all from the year 7 channel, or in this case, the biology channel. Or you might be finding that that channel is very relevant to you, in which case I would suggest that you click all and have all of the notifications for all of the posts and the replies that go through that channel. I'd just point out while it's here, you can also pin and hide channels in the same place. So if you're not going to be involved in one particular channel this year, you can hide that from your list of channels so that it's not distracting you from the channels that you are focusing on. And also you can pin channels to the top of your window so that you have them all, the important ones, all in the same place. But that's up to you if you want to do that or not. You can actually achieve a middle ground with the channels so that you don't get notified by every single message, but that you do get notified whenever the person who's written the message has included the mention @channel, or they can use the actual name of the channel. And this kind of gives a 2-tier to the message system, that some messages are kind of information only, and then the important messages in a channel are then flagged by using the @channel flag. It's a little bit like using @team, but just for the channel. So what I would suggest that nobody does is to turn off the channel mentions in a channel that they're involved in. I think it's fine to turn off the all bit so that you're not getting inundated by every single message, and then leave it to the poster to flag the important ones by using the @channel. But if you are involved in a channel, you shouldn't turn off all of the notifications. Okay, this is the activity feed. So this is where some of your notifications will go if you choose not to have banner or as well as the banner. I find that it just fills up with a very large number of notifications that just aren't very helpful to me. It's like an email inbox, but because there can be so many more messages flying around in Teams than might happen with email, I find that the activity feed is just a bit too busy for me. Instead, what I prefer to do is just scan my eye down the list of channel names, and the channel name just goes bold when there's a notification waiting for me. So I personally tend to do that. If there's a message that I've missed, I can see that it's bold there. Also, when you write a message, you can flag it as important by putting a little exclamation mark next to it when you type it, and that's flagged up here as well. So I can see if there's something that really does need my attention. I prefer that to the activity feed, but each to their own. Okay, so having shown you how people can customize their notifications, we can now use that information to when we think about how we post messages ourselves. So first things first, just remember that the only sure way to know that somebody is going to be notified about your message is to use an @ mention of either their name, if it's a small number of people, or if you want the entire team to see the message, by typing @team or the name of the team. So for instance, @signs. You don't have to use @notifications. You don't have to worry about that if staff have selected all. And I'm suggesting that if you're involved in a channel that you do leave it set to all. However, you might tone that down a little bit if you're kind of partially involved in a channel, or if you're involved in many channels and you're finding too many notifications are coming your way. You might find that some staff have reduced all down to @channel mentions only, in which case when we're posting messages, we should remember that if it is an information only message, that it's not essential for people to see, then maybe we can just skip the @ mentions altogether and just let the message be seen or not seen, or people will go find it if they need it. But if it is an important message within a channel, then we should use the @channel or the name of the channel, like @year7, we should use the @channel in there as a mention, and that will include the people that have decided to turn off some of the notifications, but they're still involved in the channel a little bit. Okay, so I hope that was helpful setting up your notifications. It is a little bit complicated, but you only need to do it once. And when you have, you'll find that the team system works really very well in keeping you organized, and you won't get inundated with too many notifications. Right, I'll leave it there.